Record on this computer. And this is Tuesday, January 31st, and we are on Lead the Field, and we are talking about goals. And we're also going to talk a little bit about greener pastures. So, as usual, hold on one second.
Yeah, are you home?
I'm home. Yeah.
Yeah, you look like you're home.
Yeah, we
That's
flew.
quick.
Yeah, we were gone Friday. I'll start with my wins. I have an almost 10-year-old grandchildren, and I can keep up with them. Yay, go me. Um,
Yeah.
no, it's really a joy, and it's one of the big drivers behind my health goals, because in addition to my own goals to be able to ski, hike, bike, golf, do all the things I love to do until the bitter end. One of those big goals is to keep up with them. And so we went to Chicago this weekend and had a family reunion with Dan's family versus doing it over the holidays, which in hindsight was a really smart idea given the whole situation with the flights and everything over the holidays. And so we met up in Chicago, and the kids stayed with our sister-in-law, Dan's ex-wife's sister, who's like a sister to us. She's very dear. And his son came down from Wisconsin, and his daughter and the grandkids were there from Colorado, and friends, extended friends and family. And it was just really, really fun. But we had two sleepovers at our hotel. We always go to the same hotel that's nearby, and we have a suite where we have a pull-out sofa, and the hotel also has a pool, an indoor pool, and an average but very kid exciting breakfast buffet. So, I wanted to jump on social media and say, I always come to you from places like the Mandarin in Miami and, fancy resorts. But happiness really for me comes from the people in addition to the places that we visit. And while I love a good 5-star hotel, the Homewood Suites by Hilton was not that, but it was so exciting and fun for the kids that was my win. And I was able to keep up with them, swim with them, and live to tell the tale. So that's my win. How about wins? Anybody else have some wins for the week?
Sure, I'll share. My son talked me into doing a energy healing conference in Ogden. I had my reservations. It turned out to be amazing. We had over 50 people sign up for a free month. We sold 4 monthly memberships out of that. So, and then there's still more to come. People are just showing up anyway, even though they didn't sign up for anything or for the draw. So that's really good. But I think my biggest win, and I got to spend time with my kids this weekend too, but my biggest win is I'm just noticing my thinking and really looking forward to just manage my thoughts and getting what I need and knowing that I can do that. So yeah, I'm really and I feel really good about my goals. Um, I don't know, it just feels good right now.
Well, when it feels good, what do?
It's specific.
We get specific. Exactly. We get really, when you feel good, when you feel really tuned in, tapped in, turned on about whatever it is, that's when you can go specific on a subject like, oh, what else is here? So, excuse me. First of all, just bask in it, I mean, we talked about this a little bit last week. I truly believe that what we seek more than anything is that feeling of connection. that you talked about last week, Laura. That feeling of, to me, it's alignment. It's when I'm spiritually, intellectually, and physically in alignment with what I truly desire. And the resistance has subsided, right?
Yeah,
Back to your point, you're notice like the limiting beliefs and everything. You're like, okay, I see you. Go sit in the corner, kind of a thing, or however
go sit
however
in the
you deal with
sunlight
it.
by the pool, take a break.
Yeah.
It it it's opened up like this weekend. Doing that all day Saturday was exhausting. I was so tired when
Yeah.
I was done. But my son also got to see me in action and what I really do and how I do it. And today I went into the and I think he was shocked at how many people actually have post-concussive syndrome and suffer with that.
Mhm.
But today I also went in and was with him and worked with him. And I said, honey, I know I take over when I come in, but I do it on purpose so that you can see what I do. And he was so okay with that. And we had great conversations
Yeah.
and people are coming in. People were there. We were busy.
Yeah.
There was not any downtime today.
Whew.
Laura, when you say, may I ask a question? When you say, so that he can see what you do you mean I don't mean like from a validation perspective, but because you don't necessarily think he realizes, or so that he can learn from you?
Learn.
Okay.
He's
Okay.
27 and he's very smart and intuitive and he cares. But there's definitely, when I'm with somebody, I'm with them, period. And there's no ego of mine involved. I could care less who I am in that moment. It's all about the other person. And I just tune into them to such a degree and ask the drilling down questions that I can get down to the base of whatever's going on. I had a guy today, 27 years chiropractor, 45 years chiropractor, 27 years of neuropathy, and has all but given up. And
Oh gosh, wow.
knows everything, right? Knows everything, is right all the time. And that handling that kind of person, that takes skill. It
Yeah,
takes
you bet.
skill. So yeah, so Chase even
Well
said,
done. Good for you.
yeah, it's what I am naturally good at. I don't really have to, it's just who I am. And I'm in a position in my life that who I am works, except for the business side of it, the money side of it.
Hey, hold on a minute.
Okay.
Thank you. More on that later. Thank you, Laura. Well, and the thing is, the things that we're good at, we're often unconscious competence.
That's
And
me.
so, yes. So,
Yeah.
it comes easily to us, right? And we're
Yeah.
good at it. But we can also build competence. And that's what you're doing, is showing him. And I'm assuming it's a two-way street because you're listening to his idea. He has his own mind, his intuition, his image. And so, we're going to get in this program into a leadership module that's extremely powerful. How do we lead others in a very conscious, compassionate, and competent way? And that's towards the end of the program. But I love that. Who else has a win that they would like to share? Lisa. Everybody's got a win, by the way. Yes, Lisa.
Yeah. So I had a beekeeping class on Saturday and I ordered my first colony of bees. So I am both excited and terrified because from what I understand, bees are very fragile and it doesn't take much for the colony to just fail,
Right.
so, but I'm so excited about this, and everybody gets free honey.
All right. I'm there. Foggy Bottom honey. I like it.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, here's what I'm going to say, because I can and I will. When you're nervous about something, visualize it exactly how you want it to go, because that's going to tap you into the source of all that is, that will guide you to have it go the way you want it to go. And that's what we're really talking about here too. But that's amazing. That's so cool.
Thanks.
Well done. But nothing's too small. Like you can say, well, I'm visualizing my big C-type goals going well. Visualize the bee colony going exactly the way you want it. thoughts turn to things, period, end of story. We could just close the call right now and go have dinner. That's how it works.
Can I just say one other thing? I'm sorry.
Sure. No
Kathy
worries.
Rose.
No,
Um, So you just said thoughts turn to things. And, you know, I've, for the past, I don't know, month and a half, 2 months, I've had the Harry Potter wand and been playing around with the pew pews and so, it was like so my dog, who is reactive, has a problem fighting at the fence with my neighbor's dogs. And it's just, it's horrible and it drives me crazy. And one day, about 10 days ago, I was, you know, they were fighting and I was walking to my car and I said under my breath, oh my God, why don't you just move? Meaning my neighbors, right? Yesterday, a U-Haul backed into their driveway and they're on their way out. And I'm like, no, wait a minute. That couldn't have been. There's no
Yeah.
way, right? Because everybody has free will,
Right.
right? So, I mean, I just feel like that, I don't know how that part works when somebody else is involved in the
Yeah.
decisions that they make, you know, because that didn't just happen in 7 days, right?
Yeah. Well, two things could have happened. Here's my, for what it's worth. Florence Scovel Shen, you know who she is, right, Lisa?
No.
You all know who she is? Okay.
Yeah.
She was like the Louise Hay before Louise Hay. And she was really an incredible author. And she wrote a book called The Game of Life and How to Play It. And then Louise Hay wrote a book called, posthumously, she found a book dealer called her and said, I have a manuscript from Florence Scovel Shinn, and I think your hands would be the best for it, because Louise Hay had such a big heart and was so aligned, you know, with love and self-love and all of this. And so Florence Scovel Shinn says in this book of life and how to play it, excuse me, that I want what I want for myself as long as it's in alignment for everybody else's highest and best. Like you wouldn't, and Bob says you wouldn't, because of the law of cause and effect, you wouldn't wish ill on someone else, because
Right.
the boomerang effect of that is such that it's by law, it has to come back at us in some way, shape, or form, just as it comes back at us positively when you open a door for someone or you do a kind gesture that nobody sees. The universe sees it, God sees it. So it's not a trading mechanism, it's a karma, or you know, however you want to describe it. You also may have been picking up on that they were going to move, like that vibration, that thought pattern is present in the vibrational state of thoughts, right? So you may have been picking up on that and then they moved. Yay. Let's hope the new neighbor doesn't have a dog.
See, yeah,
You could,
that's the scary part.
you could visualize that.
Yeah.
This would not be a good place if you want to have peace for your dog in your backyard. Just kidding. But that's, you know, Joni and I were just talking about this. I mean, what we're learning here on a higher level is that your thought energy is the most potent form of energy in the world. I believe prayer is the most potent energy in the world. Whatever that is for you, I know what it is for me. But consistently thinking and feeling and expressing and talking about and living in the energy of the goal achieved, rewriting the script of things that are unwanted into things that are wanted, is absolutely the way to manifest your dream life. You know, so even though, Laura, the balance sheet and the income sheet don't read the way you want, those are lagging indicators based on previous thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. So I only want to hear you talking about what is pure fantasy is, yeah. I mean, now, if you say this out loud to people who live from the outside in, right? From their senses inside. And this is what the Greener Pastures is about, living from the inside out. You'll sound a little unhinged. You're like, hey, we're rolling in it. We're making 300,000 a month. It's all good, you know. People are like, really? I don't see that, but they don't see what you see.
Mm-hmm.
The Wright brothers were considered to be very unhinged, and thanks to them, I was on an airplane with Wi-Fi and bathrooms and heat and a lot of safety features because they dared to take their consciousness and focus it on the spiritual energy and use their higher faculties and channel an idea from their imaginations into reality. Thinking into reality. That's what we're calling TIR now. Thinking into reality. So you're going to sound a little nuts to yourself and to everybody else, but that's how in love, how absolutely obsessed we have to be with the things that we're committed to having in our lives and to being and to doing. Like it has to become what Bob says is this magnificent obsession. And there's a quote somewhere that says, you know, I'm grateful for the idea that has used me. Because we're all at a point in our lives where we're thinking about legacy. Or if you're not, I am. I'll just say I am. And in the end, none of us come here by mistake. And what I love about this Greener Pastures, has anybody listened to Greener Pastures yet?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, what this guy did, Dr. Conwell, is he did not allow his mind to go to, well, that's too bad. You guys are poor. There's no uni for you guys to go to. In the midst of that big problem, he used his higher faculties, his perception, to say, wait a minute, what if we flip this? How big of a solution could we find for this?
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to talk about the richness of this chapter because how many of us, and be honest, when you come up against a really hard, big problem, for whom does it feel really good because you're excited that there's a huge opportunity on the other side of this, just waiting for you to find it? Is that your first response? Joni's like, nah, no so, meso manos, right? Not really. I'm like, I'm trying to find that smooth water, dang it, right? What if we thought about this differently? Every big problem carries with it a seed of equal or greater opportunity. The bigger the problem, the bigger opportunity. I just want you to think about that for a minute. But that's an orientation, right? That's a shift in perception. Most people aren't out there looking for issues that they can turn from problems to big opportunities. Actually, many people are. They're called inventors. Some of the most wealthy inventors look for problems that they can solve. Medical devices, aeronautic issues, you know, all manner of things that people look for. Whenever they come up against a big problem, they're like, hey, if I flip this thing on its head, where's the opportunity? What is the opportunity here? And that's what this Dr. Conwell did. And that's what this lesson is really inviting us to do. So, Kathy, do you have a win?
I do.
Good.
I got my first paying online client this week, which is huge, which forces me to learn how to do this. And our dear Peggy just spent an hour with my computer guy and me. And I think it's going to work. I really felt so good about that. Thank you.
You
Seriously.
think?
I know I
I'm
am.
sure. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
coming back tomorrow and we're going to do it.
Yeah. It's going to be great.
It's gonna
Build
be
the
great.
plane while you're flying it. I love it.
I did.
That is,
It's what
that is,
forces me to get over the line. And I knew
Yeah.
that if I had a paying client that required me to do this online, I would need to do it. And so that's
right.
my big win.
I have a
That's
friend that I
exciting.
met. I have a friend that I met at this retreat in the Bahamas. Her name is Fatima, and she's a client of Kathleen Cameron's. She's very funny, and she's brilliant. And she's like, "Girl, you don't have to build the whole program. Sell it and then build it. Resell it and then build it." And I was like, hair on fire. I'm like, I can't do that. You know, she's like, it's funny because I was thinking about her the other day.
I love that. That's exactly what had to happen.
Yeah. So that's great. Very good. Joni, what's your win, my friend?
I have two. One really fast. I had a great conversation with one of my besties today she had asked me if I could house sit for her. She has two dogs while she and her wife go pick up a camper that they bought. Anyway, make a long story short, her wife couldn't do it. And so she said, okay, well, you come do it. And we'll travel from Florida up to Boston in this camper,
Wow.
Thelma and Louise style. And so we were so excited. In the end, it didn't work out. But I talked to her today and she said, do you know that you are the only person I can think of literally that I could share such a small close quarter with for like 4 days in this kind of environment? And I thought the same thing, like yeah, I'd be really hard pressed anyway. So that it was just such a delightful, wonderful, high vibe conversation, and so wonderful to fantasize about it, even if we didn't get to do it. But my big win really is that I just feel so different. Maybe like you expressed, Laura. I remember last week when you were feeling a little bit down, but I feel so different right now than I did even 2 weeks ago. And I have Peggy and Dan to thank profusely and infinitely. But I feel like if this time last year, I was burying my grandmother and I was so lost. And I look back, I think of that quote, you're going to need a telescope to look back. And no, I'm not reaching my financial goals yet. No, all that. I still want to lose 15 pounds. I don't even care about that. I just feel so alive and happy. And as you said earlier, Peggy, like a feeling of expectations in a great way. So thank you. Thank you for everybody on this call because you were all part of that. And thank you, Peggy and Dan. So
I love it.
life's good.
Life is
Really
good. Life is good. Listen, ladies, we're going to like rock this thing, whatever your thing is. And so I'm going to just quickly touch on that, and then we're going to jump into greener pastures, which we're going to be studying this week. I love this lesson. This is such a cool invitation to think in a very different way. And I'll get to the CTEP goals, but I just want to really impress upon you what I downloaded today, which is this amalgam of being around Bob Proctor, being around people who live this way. And it really does become a way of living, a way of being, where you have the freedom to think a thought and say, as our friend Trevor used to say, wouldn't it be nice if? But you say it in a way that you mean it like it's happening, it's on. I thought it, I can feel it, I can see it, it's happening. And we get into that alignment with it from a spiritual, intellectual, and physical perspective. Like we talked about last week, we live on a spiritual plane. We're connected to the source of all that is, gratefully. We have our intellectual factors. And this is where this really comes. This is woven, the lesson 5, those higher factors, faculties are woven throughout this program, and Bob highlights them. Earl buried them in here. along with the universal laws. But you know it when you can start feeling it, like Laura. I love that you're feeling it. Like it feels like it's hard to describe, but it just feels so good. It feels like coming home. It feels like being at ease. It feels like being in the creative realm and feeling joy and positive expectancy. And like my wish is my command, right? Like the Harry Potter wand, only you get a good grip on it and you're pointing it at where you want to go. Laura.
Um, about 3 years ago, I did ketamine, 6 sessions, total 10. And when I did ketamine, I did it as an experiment. And I did it through a doctor, it was IV. But it through in the sessions, it was like I was thrown into another dimension. And in that area of my thought and my brain, everything was not real except for where I was. And everything on the outside was no longer real. And that's how it feels. I feel like there is such a huge paradigm shift. Like everything I believed wasn't really true. And how does this work now? It feels very odd, very misplaced.
Yeah.
And yet I know that I'm heading into a greater truth, a greater, stronger, powerful truth. Very similar. Yeah.
Watch The Matrix again. You know, it's according to one of our teachers that Joni and I study with, it's a documentary. Actually, Bruce Lipton says that too. You know, we are going from the illusion that felt so real for so many decades because it was what we knew. And I just got chills to a new version of reality that we know is true. We know that we're meant to live free, free of anxiety and worry, and free to express ourselves on the highest level, free to contribute. I mean, think of what this man did and what Temple University, the legacy of that. We're all here. I thought of you, Laura, and it's almost going to bring me to tears. When I was going through this again today, I thought of you having a worldwide impact. Now, I don't want to overlay my vision of your life. That's not my job here. That would be presumptive on my part. But I know we all came here with a big purpose in us of some sort, of some expression. And that's what's striving to come to the surface, to impact others, to enrich ourselves as well as others. And what is it that's holding that back, right? So Laura, when I think of your mission and what you're doing and people with concussive, issues and problems and health issues, and I think of you, girl, you are way out there on the leading edge. That's not an easy place to be. I started a health food store 43 years ago. Nobody wanted to pay me extra money for whole grain bread. I was doing a lot of education. And I
Same
lived in
thing.
Holland, Michigan, and the Dutch are notoriously cheap. They're like, I can buy 4 loaves of Wonder Bread for $1. Why would I pay you $2 for Ezekiel bread? And I'm like, oh my God, because you're gonna die of colon cancer. That's why, but like,
It's like, it's an upside down. It's like, oh, it just flips. I don't know it's just the most bizarre feeling to realize that it's just backwards. We don't think to notice, we think to create. It's different. That's profoundly different.
it's so cool. It's so cool. And
Bizarre.
what if it's just that easy?
And it doesn't. Okay, so immediately I go into a little bit of a defense mode here. I've already changed the world in Utah. I know I have. And so yay me, yay me. But what's most important to me is to do this because I know that my kids are watching. That's the most important thing to me.
Yeah.
That somebody I love is watching, and if they can live their lives authentically, powerfully, yay.
Yeah.
That's the legacy I want to leave.
And that's the thing. You do you, boo, as my kids say.
I also want to be famous.
Okay. Hey,
I also want that book and the movie.
rock on,
So
girl.
I'm
I'm
not,
with you
know,
on
it's
that.
not like it's not there, but
I know. No, listen, life is here to be lived. Life
Mhm.
is here to be lived. People will judge you. So what? It's not what people think about us is none of our business. That's not the point here. Okay. But I want you to know that it is that simple, but we do have to rewire ourselves. And Laura, my advice to you is enjoy the ride. And, figuring it out is kind of the booby prize. From a standpoint of, well, wait, what's happening? It's like, surf it, baby. You're on a wave. Keep the surf going. Keep being on the
Mhm.
top, right? Keep surfing the good feelings. Keep milking those good feelings and looking for opportunities. So we're going to jump into this, and we're going to talk about this again on Thursday. So I'm going to share my screen. Hold on. I love this. And I have my friend Joni to thank for these beautiful slides.
Mhm.
I know. Look at me, Kathy.
It's unbelievable. Beautiful. Wow.
Kathy and I did a little tutorial.
I'm going to go into the high-tech business for coaches.
You should.
High tech. Wait a minute.
I'll be printing money.
Okay. I
That's
don't
a
know how to make it
business.
look better than this, Joni, but I think, does it do this?
Okay, let me just come in. Hang on 2 seconds. You just need they on the top. Okay, you use that Google crap. Hang on.
Hey, don't judge my. Oh wait, here's my tech person. She's my high tech girl in a low tech world.
Okay, we're gonna open this in PowerPoint. Share. Sorry, guys. I'll tell you what. Make me the co-host, and I'll show the slideshow. Okay. Okay.
Even better. Thank you. So Kathy, this is how pretty it looks sometimes.
Isn't it gorgeous? Well, she did that in our mastermind group
Yeah, that's really great. Hold on.
yesterday, I think.
Nice.
Am I co-host?
Hold on.
I can do that for her.
Look at all this. Ta-da!
You are the co-host. Okay.
There we go.
Let's get rid of that and move this down, and we say you should be able to
Beautiful.
see my screen.
Thank you. This is
You're
awesome.
welcome.
So the greener pastures. I love this concept. This is so amazing. If you think about it, everything you need, you already have within you. Every question comes with an answer. This solves so many problems when you think about it from this perspective, that there aren't answers outside of us per se. They're really all inside of us. So do I have the power, or do you have the power, Jenny? Go ahead. So we talked a little bit about this, but we're going to be thinking about our friend, the stick woman. I'm going to put a little dress on her at some point. But how we think and how we feel and how we behave ultimately drives our results. And so if you're thinking of your C-type goal, you're going to immediately see the challenges, right? Well, I don't have the wherewithal. I don't have the money. I don't know how. I have to get our sales up. I have to attract new clients who are, ideal right fit clients, or I want to get into a new line of business, or, in Lisa's case, she wants to attract multiple sources of income. Well, the first step that we want to take is setting the goal from the top down, right? We don't want to let the outside influence the inside. We want to start with what we really want. Bob always said the only prerequisite is desire, is what you want. He would never settle for anything less. That's why he always walked around asking people what they wanted. Not, what do you think you can do? He wasn't in the business of, well, what do you think you can do? He was in the business of blue sky fantasy. What do you really, really want? So getting in touch with that from a spiritual connection to take that infinite lavender energy, that beautiful God source, whatever that is to you, wherever that's coming from, to me, it's what created everything around us. And using your mental faculties to form the mold of what you want. That's what we talked about last time. Your mind is the mold that this pure energy comes through, and it will take the shape of your thoughts, which ultimately you will become emotionally involved in if you let yourself and you intend to be. That creates a feeling that sets up your vibration from a subconscious perspective that attracts to you everything you need, because you only attract what you're in vibrational harmonious alignment with. This is on social media quite a bit. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. The language of God, the language of the universe is vibration. Period. Full stop. If you are in a bad mood, pay attention to this sometime. And the wheels come off. You stay in not a bad, I won't say a bad mood. Let's say you're in a lower vibration. You're in fear, you're in worry, you're in doubt, you're in anger. If you stay in those thoughts and those feelings long enough, it will pick up speed. It will snowball. It will be harder to turn around at the bottom of the mountain, like a snowball heading downhill, than it will be up at the top. Excuse me. This is why it's so important every single day to be aware of what you're saying, to be aware of what you're feeling, and to be aware of how you're behaving. Am I in alignment with a woman who would be earning $1 million a month, a year? Whatever your financial goals are. Am I making decisions? Am I on that vibration, or am I in a vibration of lack of abundance? It does. There should be no judgment. I know we judge ourselves, but if you judge yourself, you're just adding insult to injury. The point here is to be aware of what's happening and then flip it. So once you've done that, and now you're saying, wait a minute, everything I need, I have within me. Everything I need is out there. If I don't have it within me, I can attract it to myself. All I have to do is believe that, have faith in that. I'm working with the most powerful source known to humankind. And in that way, you're standing in the middle of your own acres of diamonds, right? We often think we're not sufficient. We think, oh gosh, I don't have the things I need. You absolutely have everything you need. The first step is to look around and see what's there, but we have to start. Here, I love what they do with the stick person. Are you letting the results control your thinking, or are you thinking from the inside out? And that was lesson 4 and lesson 5 in TIR. And if you ever feel up against it, do not hesitate to go back and work it out literally on paper in these lessons. It is so much easier to work out on paper with the guidance of good questions and good, curriculum. That's what this is designed to do. So go ahead and hit the next one. So we want to always be thinking from the inside out. Now, that takes courage because we're so trained to live by our senses. We're so trained to live by the limitations of our limiting beliefs of the current circumstance set, that those limiting beliefs, aka things that are baked into our paradigms, are producing. We don't even, I'm telling you, whatever you think is the biggest C-type goal you could ever think about is this big compared to what you can possibly do. And I include myself, I'm not saying you, I'm saying all of us. It is the human condition. We have no idea the extent to which our limiting beliefs that are baked into our paradigms control what we think we're capable of doing. And it's not a big deal because we're in this rinse, wash, repeat, right? The more we do, the more we show ourselves we can do, the more we astonish ourselves, the more we can do, the more we can astonish ourselves. It's a virtuous upward cycle. So know this, the only thing between you and your big dreams are those limiting beliefs baked into your paradigms, the thoughts, the feelings, and the behaviors that are non-productive. So how do we handle this? Good news, we have a toolbox, we have a way, we have the technology, we can handle this. So this is truer words have never been spoken. I think Emerson was a very amazing philosopher and writer. What lies before you and what lies behind you are tiny matters compared to what lies within you. We have no idea what we're capable of. We're starting to, right? We're scratching, like Bob said, he felt like after 60 years, and the guy dedicated his life to this. He didn't do anything but this. Really, I don't think he had much of a social life. He gave up golf, not because he felt he had to, but because he was so driven by helping people with this material. And he said, after 60 years, what I've done isn't really even that great. He's not in a self-deprecating way, but like he was just scratching the surface of what was possible. So it's not a comparison game, but it's to say you're on the right track and there's so much greatness to come. Okay. But we have to get our arms wrapped around the concept of our paradigms. Okay. So outline the specific results you are currently getting in one important area of your life. It could be your income. It could be your relationship status. It could be, anything that is more than likely tied to your C-type goal. And then state the obstacle that you feel would prevent you from improving those results. Think about this. If you could improve your results, Laura, by 100% a month, basically doubling what you're doing, what would that look and feel like?
It wouldn't, I don't know if I can see that. I just keep on seeing everything full and people coming and the 40, I know. And so the 40,000, I have to be honest, is probably not a true C-type goal because I can see how it can happen logically.
Okay.
So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Maybe it's not big enough to push the barriers, but it's certainly big enough to ask me to see it, to believe it, to create it.
Okay.
And so what does that look like? Peace. I don't worry. I'm no longer worried. I don't have to worry about advertising because people are sharing the info and people are having great experiences and they're talking with each other in the clinic and it's going well. It's just a happy place. It's a happy place of healing.
Okay, cool.
So does that answer the questions?
Well, let me, Joni had a question, but let me just So I know you have a financial goal, but you also have a helping people goal, right?
In the ones that I sent, I don't.
Okay.
I decided to um except I don't have the movie in there and I don't have the book in there right now.
Okay.
I
That's
decide
fine.
I whittled it down and got it to where I can see it,
Okay.
I can believe it. I don't know how it's going to get there, but it's going to get there because I can see it.
Okay.
So
Cool.
does that make sense?
It does make sense. And if that's a way of creating a goal that feels like non-resistance, that's great.
Okay, there's no resistance to it.
Okay.
And no
Good.
resistance in any of the goals I have set that I shared with
Okay.
everybody.
Good. Good, good, good. That's awesome. Joni, did you have a question for Laura?
Yeah, I think maybe I think maybe you both just clarified for me, but I was curious both from your perspective and Laura's, um, if the 40K is for the first question is the 40K less important than the pods being full and seeing the interaction, the community building and the learning?
If the
That was
pods are full,
yeah.
the pods are full, therefore it's 40,000 or more.
Yeah.
But I mean, getting somebody in the pods every half hour, that's huge. And I still want to make sure that there's a half an hour there for, you get in the pod, somebody else gets to the pod. I talk to the person for a half an hour. They get me for a half an hour, or whoever is the facilitator at the time. So, yeah, it's equal. It's a result of.
Mm-hmm.
It won't exist unless people get help. So
Yeah.
I guess people first, money second.
Right. Does that answer your question, Joni?
Yes, that answers the first part of the question. The second part was, I guess, more from a I mean, in theory, you could have a corporate buyout that pays you $40,000 and only 10 people get in the pod. And I'm not, this is not a judgment or criticism. It's a question for Peggy in terms of, so really, when we really get to peel away the onion, when we get to a
Mhm.
C-type goal, it's mathematically, Laura can see the 40K, or you could flip it on its side and say X number of people. That means the pods are full. But really, I guess from a likelihood of manifesting your goal,
Yeah.
dream, likelihood of it happening, is it more what's in your heart? And maybe I'm just getting a little bit too pedantic about the, I guess I'm trying to ask how to accelerate.
Yeah.
I
Is it
don't know
how
what
you
pedantic means. That's a big word for me. I have no idea what pedantic means. But Dan asked me this question. He said, would you like to have 10 clients that pay you $3,500, or do you want 50 clients that pay you the total up to a $3,500, whatever it is? And I said, oh, I want 50 clients. So it's about people to me.
okay?
It's
Okay.
not,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely driven by service.
Yeah.
The reason I ask Laura, not to get off and take too much time, I'm feeling kind of the same thing that you are. Like for me, ultimately, it's serving and driving and like feeding the community. I don't mean literally feeding the community. And so I think that's why I was asking for clarification from you so that I could then ask from Peggy, is it more in terms of really accelerating that goal? Is it about how you're feeling without that money thing attached to it? Because I sometimes struggle with that.
Oh, I do
I'm
too.
gonna I'm
That's
gonna
why I'm
jump
here.
in here just so we can stay on
Okay.
track. And this is a good conversation. Here's the thing. I have a C-type goal to serve 4 new clients a week, to impact 4 new women every week. Okay. That is really tied to, for example, the conversation I had with someone, a gal, just before I got on the 4 o'clock call, who's really struggling. Really bright woman, big job in New York, no idea how her mind works, really struggling. that is my mission in life. Ultimately, for a week is nothing compared to the millions of people I want to impact before I leave the planet. I also have $1 million a month goal that I'm working on with my husband. And I can't do the maths, as my Irish friends would say, to make that pencil out unless I'm charging people 100,000 a month or, something. But I do know this, that you can do what you love to do and get paid whatever you get paid. And then you can also have multiple sources of income. And we'll talk about that in this group. So we've set the intention for that passive or near passive income to augment the passion-based work that we do in the coaching business. Does that make sense? So Laura doesn't have to know the how necessarily, but what lights her fire and gets her engine going is the people in the beds who are getting better and feeling better. I'm paraphrasing, right? But Joni, you and I can talk offline about, what it is. The main thing, if you want to compress the time of your goal achieved, it's lining up your belief that it is already done. That's about as straightforward as it gets.
Thank you.
If,
I appreciate
if you
that.
can walk around in the felt sense that it's here, it's done, it's happening, the joy is in finding out how it's going to happen. You can't wait for things to show up in your experience. If to the extent that you can train your mind to live in that state of faith and belief and harmony with the goal achieved, it will happen with exciting rate of happening. So, and the thing I want you to think about here is improving your results by 100%. I have seen people, I have personally experienced people improving their results by 300, 500%. Kathy and I have a colleague in PGI who went from living on her friend's couch to last year clearing $7 million and serving 700 people.
Wow. Which one is that?
Kim Calvert.
Oh, yeah. And then what about Kathleen?
Kathleen, first 3 years, she had a top line of 20 million. I mean, I don't
I'll just say this one thing, because I don't think I articulated it very well earlier. And so, and just what you said also, again, I go back to the same question. I'm really good at spreadsheets. I'm really good at doing the math. X number of people means X, la, la, la. And I think Laura is as well. For me, the question is more a refined, nuanced version of, is it about the math? If ultimately the goal is the same, the outcome is the same, or is it about the feeling? And I think you answered that, but can you get there the same amount of time in the same way, or is it by me versus through me?
When you're in the feeling of the goal achieved, when your belief is aligned with the desire, you will download. That's what this lesson is about. You will connect to the source of all that is, that's inside of you and outside of you and accessible by you, and you will download the answers of how to do it. So the feeling of the connection to the thing you want is really, really important. And the belief that you can have it, which is a matter of training your faith, which, belief and faith, belief is a thought you just think over and over again. So if you're thinking on a conscious level, this I can do, and on a subconscious level, you're having a big fight, the subconscious will win. And that's what changing the paradigm is about. So yeah, I get what you're saying. I think also there is oftentimes this thing that, well, the money doesn't really motivate me. If it's only about the money, I haven't met many people who just get a wild turn on about having a huge fat bank account. Money is a thing that enables you to do more and to have better choices in life. So there is a paradigm, and I invite you to look for it, that says, oh, money isn't really a big deal to me. It should be a big deal to you in the following way. The more money you have, the more good you can do. Mother Teresa, people say, oh, well, she was poor. She didn't have any money. No, that's not true. She had people giving her millions and millions and millions of dollars. She had access to private, you know, all manner of things. So she could extend the good she could do. So Joni, I'm not coming at you on this on the money front, but if you're saying money doesn't matter, that is absolutely not true. Money
I never
matters.
said that.
I
I
know
never
that.
said that.
I
Money,
know that.
money,
But I'm
absolutely
saying there is
matters.
a paradigm that says I don't get turned on by the money. I get turned on by the money because
I totally do.
I can write more checks to Trevor's foundation and to Laura's foundation. And I can help her build her film and things like that. So if the money isn't exciting you, then tether to the feeling of the women that you want to help, say, or the people you want to help. The way you get money is through providing greater service. You can provide service when you're sleeping. You can create online courses. Bob is transitioned and he still has money coming in from his books, from the things he's done. So I'm not sure I'm fully understanding your question, but I want to move on. But I just want to say to you, outline the specific results you're currently getting, and then know this. You can absolutely double those results at a minimum. I mean, I think they were shooting low on this, so people's minds didn't go crazy with backlash. Like, that's crazy. I couldn't improve my results by 500%. You absolutely can. Now, imagine the 100% increase. Turn your fantasy into words and describe it below. This is the creative process. We're going back to lesson 1 here. But, if you think about what Van Gogh said, he said, I dream my painting and then I paint my dream. We're so busy, and I see this in coaches. I see it in people trying to build businesses. I see it in the business development and personal development space. There's so much advice on how to do things, and it's largely good advice. But if you aren't starting with a solid vision of where you're going and what you want, it's like having a builder show up with all the materials and no blueprint and just saying, build it. We have to have this image of what we want, our lives to look like, of what the vision of the future can be. So look at the results you're getting. That's going to tell you what you don't want. Look at the things that you think are holding you back. And now imagine all of those things have been released and you have everything you need to fulfill this vision, right? You're looking at things differently. You're thinking differently. You can go ahead and advance this slide. So as children, and this goes back to the paradigm idea, you don't have a conscious mind developed. All the ideas that are going on around you, genetically and environmentally, about money, about relationships, about health, about wealth, about you as your self-image, all of those things are going inside of you, and they become literally like water to the fish. You're like, what paradigms? I'm telling you, we all are so tethered by our paradigms. And it's not a bad thing because we now know this, we have a heightened awareness, and we have the tools to use our conscious mind to reprogram the paradigms in the direction of the good we desire. So the thing is, we have to use our conscious mind to filter out the senses, right? If the economy is bad for 99% of the population, don't let it be bad for you. There are people killing it financially now because they refuse to accept the idea that the economy is bad. They're not going to let their economy be bad, right? So to reiterate, we talked about this in lesson 1, thought energy is constantly available to us. Constantly available to us. You can link to any thought you want. You can connect to any vibration. Like Lisa, probably your neighbors were thinking the same things. I can't wait till we move. And you're like, would you move already? That was a vibrational connection energetically. I'm betting. I don't know for sure. We'll never know. You could talk to them, but they're gone. But the point is, you're tapping into the source of everything that was and ever is and will be. So, right? What are you going to do with this thought energy? on a conscious level, you have to choose. If a negative thought, worry, fear, and doubt, go back to lesson 7. If worry, fear, and doubt starts to creep into your mind vis-a-vis the things you want in life, you got to shut that puppy down and say, wait a minute, this is not where I go anymore. I see you, I know it's my paradigm, and I'm not going to think those thoughts. That's what you do in the moment of the negativity rearing its head. And it will. Every time you expand out of your comfort zone, out of your existing paradigm, you're going to have these limiting beliefs that fire up. That's why we are where we are. It's called the comfort zone for a reason, right? You push out against that and all heck breaks loose. It's like, how are you? Why would you? What will they think? Where are you going to get the money? I've never done that before. What if I've tried that? It didn't work. So we have to be diligent about filling the top of the funnel with thoughts that we only choose based on pure fantasy, right? So the problem is, go back to that for a second. The problem is we tend to think thoughts that are in alignment with the paradigm. Remember in the terror barrier, X type thoughts, X types feelings, X type behavior, X type results. That usually lines up no matter how poor those results are and how much we don't want those results. That is a groove. It's a neurological groove. It's a physiologic groove. It's why people stay in situations that are not good for them. They know better, but they don't do better because it's too hard to change the paradigm. And they don't know how. It's not that it's too hard. They don't know how to change the paradigm. For them, that is reality. They have to stay there. So you are not conditioned to thinking about earning thoughts that a person who is a millionaire thinks. Not because you can't, not that because you don't have the capacity. It's because you have not got the conditioning, the paradigm to think like multimillionaires. When you set the intention, this I will do, you will start to put yourself in the vicinity of those thoughts. You'll start to come into contact with those people. You'll start to have opportunities that will come your way because, like the guy that we learned about last week who was sleeping on the park bench, he knew where he was going. He was going to be a Michelin-starred chef. He had an image, he had a GPS of where he was going. He had no idea how he was going to go from a park bench to a highly ranked chef, but he knew where he was going and that he would. That's all we need. I know that seems simple and overstated, but it's true. So to shape your future, we have to use our conscious mind, not only in the minutes where things kind of go south, but more importantly, in the calm times to constantly bathe our subconscious programming in new programming, in new ideas, in new thoughts, in new feelings, in new beliefs, right? And the more we do that, the less we will find ourselves being susceptible to these down cycles. I used to get depressed, and it was a big, deep hole, and it took a very long time to dig my way out. It was not good. But now that I have up-leveled my conscious awareness and my belief through the constant spaced repetition of this material, I believe we're going to hit our 1 million a month. I believe that. Now, does that mean it's not a C-type goal? I don't know. Does it matter? At this point, I'm not so wrapped around the axle around it. It's just, I believe we're going to do that. And I know where all that money's going. I know who I'm going to give that money to. I know that I'm going to teach my children how to make money. I'm going to show them by way of example. I'm going to, like Laura said, it's cool. I'm going to get a kick out of it, being on the G6 with Laura and everybody else here. So, Laura, she's like, big thing with that. So preparation is key. Yeah, there is this power coming through us. Our paradigms bind us to the opportunity and to limit the thoughts. So you want to start thinking about, how can I change my paradigm? I know this stick person looks ridiculously simple, but this is your $1 million deal. Any image you can imagine that you truly desire, that you can program through your will into your subconscious mind to the exclusion of all else. It does not matter if everything's breaking loose outside. This is what's happening. I've seen Bob do it over and over and over again. The guy was unflappable towards the end there. He wouldn't talk about what was going wrong. He had an image in his mind of where the company was going, how he was going to help his people achieve their goals, build the company, and help millions and millions of people. He got emotionally involved with that to the point where he lived in a reality that was so disconnected from anything else that was happening outside that people at first thought he was clear out of his mind. And then he made decisions based on what a person who was in possession of the good he desired would do. So we have to look objectively at ourselves and at our programming. It does not help if we get emotionally upset about our programming. I want to be very clear about this. If you don't like the way you're programmed and you don't like the results you're getting, please, please, please do not stand in judgment of yourself. You didn't program yourself as a child. The people that programmed you were programmed by other people. It's irrelevant. You want to get very objective about the way you're programmed. Okay. So the more we can be like a scientist about ourselves, where are my outer limits? Where are my upper limiting beliefs? How can I change those? What do I really, 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 really want? The better off we are. So in this, is that the end of the slideshow, Joni? Okay, so becoming an expert.
Almost, not quite, but
These were the
almost,
last
yeah.
2 slides. So in this, the homework, and that's what I wanted to get to quickly, is I want you to think about yourselves in this way. And this is so exciting to me, and I hope this is to you. Imagine yourself as becoming an expert in your field, right? Yeah, Laura's like, yeah. And just getting better and better and better at what you do. When I watch sports, part of it's for the sport aspect, but I love watching people who are so good at what they do, they make it look so seamlessly easy. Study your field. Study the people who are doing well, not to compare yourself, but to say, what are some of the best practices? What are some of the characteristics of the best people in my field? How can I be an advancing person, right? So if I look at, for example, the personal development industry, it is growing by leaps and bounds. Why? Because people have never experienced more anxiety and depression and lack of fulfillment and underdevelopment and developed potential as we have in history. And it's interesting because we live in a time where there's more information available, more knowledge than has ever been in the history of humankind. But people don't know how to use their minds. That's my industry. That's my quest, is to be the best I can be at what I do in this industry. And in so doing, I will be able to be compensated in a way that someone at the top of her industry would be compensated. Does that mean I charge $1 million a year like Tony Robbins does for an hour, or $1 million for a day of training? No, but it means I can write a book and be seen as a thought leader in my industry. I can, sell programs. I can do other things that help people. So are you picking up what's happening here? What you're thinking about? Like, how can you be the best at what you do?
For me, is a constant yearning to learn. Even as I'm sitting here, I've got the manufacturers of the pods texting me and I'm asking them questions, and I don't mean to be rude, but they aren't always available. And I'm learning right now.
Right.
I think as I've listened to this lesson twice now, this particular one, the greener field, I noticed that I want my people to have this. I
Mhm.
want my employees to have this. I want it
Right.
to be a company thing. And but for me, I think the most difficult thing, and I think you answered this, but I think I have to practice this, is as I'm such a realist that as I'm fantasizing about what is, my brain goes, but today it is. And
Mhm.
how are you going to get there? And so training my brain to be okay, maybe it's just giving myself permission to just to see it and to
Mhm.
enjoy it and to pretend that it's real. So even if I say pretend, then all of a sudden I realize it's not real. Do you get
Yeah.
that? And
Yeah.
so what do you do with that, Peggy? Is that
Yeah.
the negativity? Is that the fear, doubt? And is that what you're talking? Is that
I think it's a missequencing.
okay?
And
Explain
what
that
if
because I
we,
have no idea what that means.
yeah, so let's think about it this way. You notice what you don't want, the current level of sales. You want to improve that, right? And the number of people served, whatever it is,
Right.
however you frame it.
The goal. The
Yeah.
goal.
Yep. And when you say, I look at reality, know this. What if you said, I'm looking at what my current paradigm has been producing, the results that my current paradigm has been producing.
Ow. Ow.
Wait,
I
I
like
just
the
had
way
the
you
big
put
come to
that though.
Jesus about how not to judge your paradigms. Did that,
I
were you?
like that. Can you put that in writing in our chat? Just like
Sure.
what you said. So the reality is look at what my paradigm has produced thus
To
far
date. Yeah.
today, which is not
You're,
shabby, but it's not
well,
enough. So
well,
okay, keep
and no matter what you have, you're always going to want more. And Kathy's got
yes.
to go. Yeah, you're welcome, Kathy. Thank you. It's good to see you. So here's the thing. It's this balancing, first of all, it's this balancing act of loving what is and always knowing that you're always going to want more. Why? Because our spiritual being is always for greater expansion, right? So
Right,
it's like
right.
at some point you dreamed of being where you are, and alas, here you are. But to up level to the next level, you're going to need to up level and expand your paradigm.
That fear of failure. So the fear of failure is just fear.
It's part of your paradigm. It's been
Yeah.
trained into you. Anybody else have a fear of failure? Yeah. So unique, Laura.
Let's get rid of it. Everybody now. 1, 2, 3, just blow it.
Well, look,
That was 2 smackdowns in like
yeah,
5 minutes.
no place to get your ego built, as my family used to say.
What's
So, but here's
ego?
the
No
thing.
ego, just fix it. Let's get it
Well, right.
done.
But here's the thing. The way that fear of failure was built into you was through constant spaced repetition. So, what if you built a new belief, a new metacognition belief that says there is no failure?
Can I ask a question? What if he
No, hold on a
fails?
second. Yeah, but hold
Okay,
on a
all
second.
right, all right.
There is no failure. There's learning and growing and learning and growing. You never get it done and you never get it right.
That's true.
So, where does
That's true.
failure fit into that? It doesn't. That's a
Doesn't even
perception shift, right? You never get it done and you never get it right.
That warrants
So
the highlighter,
that
you
warrants the
highlight
high
it.
writer.
the highlighter.
Yeah, you never get it done and you never get it right. So there's no failure. Now, does that feel like when the wheels come off? Oh, yeah, Peggy said there's no failure. No, it feels like fear of failure is probably what you're talking about. Or
Yes.
not hitting the mark is what we fear. And that's based on past stuff. But if you say to your paradigm, wait a minute, everything I need, I have within me. Everything I need is here. I need to think about things differently. Because if I think in a certain way, it must come to pass. So the current results that you have, the current things that haven't come out to your liking, are only telling you that the operational state of your past thinking, feeling, and behaving is not going to produce the results you want. And you didn't program yourself up until today. You didn't know better. You didn't have the tools to help change your thinking and your feeling. But now you know that better results are a function of your thoughts, feelings, and behavior. No? Yeah? You okay?
Yes. I just caught myself going like this, and no, I really mean this.
I'm like, don't make me come over there.
Oh, please? Then I'll do this.
Yeah.
Come hang out. Bring the cards, bring Joni. Lisa,
Yeah.
get on a plane.
So,
That's funny. We
but
could put you on Zoom on the table. You could play cards with us.
right?
There we go.
No, that's so true. But is this helpful?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because
Okay.
I'm being extremely honest and open, and
Yeah.
because I want what I see as the possibility.
Yeah.
And I'm just naming what's in my way.
A
And it doesn't
belief.
have to be in my way. Yes.
Yeah. It's a belief, more than likely.
But what else could it be? If anything that I can see will be, I probably never should have started listening to Joe Dispenza. It's just,
Welcome to the rabbit hole, Laura.
yeah.
You're cracking me up.
Okay.
No,
All right.
it's true.
No,
But here's the deal here, you guys. If you want to be a millionaire, you got to start to see that. You need to start to feel it intentionally. Use your will. Remember that higher faculty? You have to use your imagination. You have to see and build the image, right? You have to see it. You have to build the image. We think in images. That's why this is so powerful. This is why people are in therapy for decades. They have no idea how their mind works. I'm not, by the way, not anything about therapy. I'm just telling you, you should teach everybody this. Because what happens in the absence of this is we live by our outside senses. This is what drives our thinking, is the current results, drives the thinking through the senses, sets up the thoughts, sets up the feeling, sets up the behavior, and it creates a tight feedback loop. When you do a pattern interrupting, you say, wait a minute, if I can shut these off and think any thought I choose and really fire up my imagination and build up these images in a way that are so big and beautiful, whatever it is, reconnecting with someone you love, serving 40 clients a month, it does not matter. This system is 100% agnostic to what you put into the top of it. It can be fear of being broke. That will guarantee you will be broke.
Got it. I have a fear of being 155 pounds. Just kidding.
Very funny.
Where
But
did you get
do you
that?
do you understand the power of what I'm talking about here? You
Yes
can
and no.
literally
I have a glimpse of it. I
okay,
really
fair
truly
enough.
have a glimpse, and I really do. I'm like, criminy. Wow.
So many crickets. So here's
Many
the deal,
crickets.
right? We're reprogramming the way we think on a conscious level with our higher faculties. We're like, it does not matter whatever happened up until 5 minutes ago, 1 minute ago, that is a lagging indicator based on what's been happening in here in your subconscious programming, by and
So,
large.
Joni, you'll understand this. Agency. Nobody really understands. Right? You were
Indeed.
raised LDS.
Yes, indeed.
Agency is real. It is all up to us. Period.
That's a very empowering. I feel like that's a very empowering concept.
Yes. And as a parent or as anybody else, it's everyone. Anyway, I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
don't mean to sidetrack us into
Yeah.
LDS, but,
But
my,
here's an interesting thing. Being LDS is a program. No disrespect. Being Catholic is a
I don't have a
program.
problem with that. I like the program.
Being Jewish is a program. Being agnostic or atheist is a program.
As long as it brings me peace.
This
But
is whatever. Yeah, you do
Right.
you. But here's the thing.
Right.
If you're not getting the results you want from your behavior and from your vibration, it's because what's going into the top of the system isn't going to produce the results. Like you don't get a chocolate cake when you make vanilla, cupcakes.
Well, I guess what I said that to Joni is that the LDS people don't get it because it's exactly what you're teaching. That
Yeah.
agency, choice, we're here to
Yeah.
choose.
Yeah. We're so free that we can choose
Yes.
bondage. We're so free
Yes.
that we can choose bondage. So here's the thing. Here's what I want you to do and think about. And Lisa, I want you to weigh in on this because we've heard from, the other folks around here. But I want you to, I want you to go through this and we'll talk about it more on Thursday. The 12 points to remember is really, I want you to start doing this, incorporating this into your daily life. If we develop the wisdom and patience to intelligently and effectively explore the work, right, the daily study, how can I increase my service today? How can I step back and reflect versus reflex? So all of these are in your workbook. But Lisa, I want to hear from you. What says you on all of this?
Oh, where do I start? Like, what part are we? There was a lot covered here tonight.
It's a lot to unpack. Yeah.
Yeah. What says me on all of this? That's I don't even know where to start, really. There was
Okay.
so
That's
much
okay.
discussed.
That's okay. Listen, people process, things in myriad ways. The thing I want to impress on all of you, and I know this can feel excitingly rich and dense, and like there's a lot here to unpack, but I want you to, most of all, when we study this lesson, I want you to think about making a permanent metacognition shift on your orientation to your problems in your life vis-a-vis things you want that would appear to be between you and the things you desire. I want you to think about belief and how your beliefs are formed. And I'm not here to referendum anybody, to weigh in as a referendum on anybody's beliefs. I'm just saying, are your beliefs in alignment with what resonates to be true with you and what you truly desire in life, what you would love to do, the kind of abundance you would love to have, and the kind of legacy you want to live? And the third thing is, do the exercises, because this is what's going to train your mind to think differently. Listening to the lessons, which is awesome, is great, but doing the worksheets is what takes that metacognition and brings it onto a personal level. And I don't want you to forget about thinking into results, because that is still my go-to when I'm upside down, living from the outside in. Go to lesson 5 and work it out. If you're up against the terror barrier, Kathy's starting to do online courses with her clients. She's freaked out. I get it. I still freak out around technology. Ask Joni and Dan. But I'm getting more comfortable with it. And I know that no matter what happens, the house won't burn down. So I've worked through lesson 7 on some of my issues around fear, etc. But in the end, it is so simple. And I can say this to you guys because you've studied this long enough. What you think, what you choose to allow your mind to get emotionally involved in, like on a conscious level, are you creating and getting into the imagination of what you want and only what you want? To the extent that you can become obsessed with that in a healthy way, you will then use your will to get emotionally involved in it. Like, oh my gosh, Now that this is happening, it's amazing. Here's what's happening. Here's what's coming. Here's what I can do. The goodness you can have. Then you're going to get inspired downloads, right? Who doesn't get those? I do. I get mine early in the morning, a little bit late at night, mostly in the morning. Then what are you going to do about it on a daily basis? What are 6 goal achieving activities? And we'll get to that in a later lesson here. But I want you to start taking steps on the goals that you have. Now, you're going to be scared potentially, but stay in that energy, stay in the flow of it, because to the extent that we can do that, things speed up in an incredibly beautiful and fast way when we take the resistance out of the system in the form of limiting beliefs, limiting self-image, limiting how am I going to, back to your question, Laura, what if it isn't, well, how am I going to do that? What if it is, what is it, and why am I so fired up about it? And then asking for inspired action.
My goals. Okay, so this is my affirmations that I read, and
Mhm.
you'll hear these, and so you'll hear them in you. Where are they? Okay, so ask and it shall be given. That done. I'm so happy and grateful now that the Wellness Center, okay, got that one. I'm so happy to. I'm happy and grateful now that I let everything I want and need flow to me freely. Does that sound familiar, Peggy? I am
Thank you.
relieved and happy now that I take peaceful, inspired action. I don't know, Peggy. Does that sound familiar? I love your words. I love your words. I love the way you put things together. I could listen to you talk. Yes, I like to talk too, but
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Well, that's my goal. Like, let's have this be easy. Right? It is easy. It is. It's the way it's
Sitting here
meant to
kind
be.
of laughing at myself saying, I've already done it one way. Why don't we just try it another? Right? I already created this. Why not just do it
Do an
differently?
experiment. Let's see what
Yeah,
happens.
yeah,
So
why not?
keep listening to this and do the exercises to the best of your abilities. We're going to meet again at 9 a.m. Mountain Time on Thursday. And I will see you all there.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Love you
Bye-bye.
all. Bye.
Good,
Good
good,
night.
good.
Thank you.
Powerful.